Welcome back to Jersey Matters. If you read the Star Ledger recently, you may have seen a headline that had you concerned about infant death in New Jersey, but as it turns out, the headline might be misleading. Barbara Ostfeld is a doctor and program director at the SIDS Center of New Jersey and professor at the Department of Pediatrics at Rutgers Robert Wood Johnson Medical Center. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it. Let me talk about this article for a second, because the headline blared, "New Jersey infant deaths hit a grim record." You thought that was misleading?
The sudden unexpected infant deaths, which is what the article is about, and that includes sudden infant death syndrome, are among the lowest in the nation in New Jersey. Our rate falls well below the national rate, and that's a reassuring thing that people should be aware of. What they were talking about are the risk factors that are found when these deaths are evaluated. And there is a concern about a very important risk factor, and that's the risk factor of bed sharing. And so because it's a risk, you see it more in the death than you do in living cases. And the year that they were addressing, 2015, demonstrated a rise, although we've had similar percentages of babies dying in a bed sharing situation in previous years.
Yeah, to get the message out about bed sharing seems to be a difficult one for some reason. I know New Jersey has been in the forefront of this, and for a while they were giving out the boxes to try to get parents to not put their child in a dangerous situation, especially in bed sharing. But if you went by this article, and maybe I shouldn't, you can tell me, that doesn't seem to be working.
What works is parent knowledge, and one of the missions of the SIDS Center of New Jersey, besides bereavement support and the research that we do that has helped inform the recommendations of the American Academy of Pediatrics, is to provide the state, the doctors, the nurses, the families, with information about how to reduce the risk of sudden infant death syndrome and other sleep-related infant deaths. If there is a preventable death, we should be able to do everything possible to make sure that it hasn't happened. And although our rates are low, even one death, if it's preventable, is one death too many, and no parent should have to bury a child.
No, I agree with you, but the parent knowledge is the most important, is what you just said. The
Absolutely.
Parent knowledge is the most important.
That's the first step.
So when someone leaves the hospital,
Yes.
they should have that knowledge.
Right.
Is that happening?
Yes. We go around to all the birthing hospitals. We provide toolkits, on-site education, all sorts of information, and we distribute materials as well. The pediatrician plays a role. We partner with the New Jersey chapter of the American Academy of Pediatrics and many other public health groups, because it takes a village to deliver the message. But it doesn't come down to what do you know. It often comes down to what do you do and why do you do it. And sometimes, let's take, well, let me just give you an example of what the risk factors are. Not putting your baby on the back raises the risk. Back to sleep is associated with a dramatic drop, and back to sleep has been called one of the leading recommendations, one of the leading research findings in pediatrics in the last 40 years. And it has contributed to the drop all over the country in SIDS and other sleep-related infant deaths.
You bring that up as if it's not happening. I thought that was pretty standard now.
We've gone from a nation where 3/4 of our babies were sleeping on their bellies, because that was the old recommendation, to a nation where 3/4 of our babies are now sleeping on their backs. But not everyone. And we have to penetrate every day, all the time, because every year 105,000 new babies are coming along in our state.
So you shouldn't put the baby in the bed with you. The baby should be on her back.
Put the baby on the back. You should avoid all of that loose, soft bedding that looks so beautiful. We try to remind parents bare is beautiful and bare is safer. So that safety-approved crib that meets the Consumer Product Safety Commission standards, crib, bassinet, portable crib, or play yard that meets those standards and that has the appropriate mattress in it, should just be covered by a tightly fitted sheet. No bumpers, no blankets, no stuffed animals, no other loose and soft bedding that can encumber a baby.
And is smoking still a problem?
Smoking is a massive issue because there is a 6-fold increased risk of sudden unexpected infant deaths when a mother has smoked in pregnancy. And if you add the smoke that can happen after, when a baby's home, when others in the household smoke, that adds further to the risk. So smoking is an absolutely critical issue that we have to avoid.
Are we still at the point where SIDS is a mystery, or have we figured out most of the causes of death?
By definition, SIDS means that you've looked at everything knowable. You've examined the baby, and there's been an autopsy, there's been a death scene investigation, and you have not found an explanation as to why this baby died. That's SIDS, and you could call it, I don't know why my baby died syndrome, which is horrible because what's the first word out of the mouth of a parent who's lost a baby? Why? And for these families, there is never an answer, but, and this is the very important thing, there are very strong hypotheses that these babies have an undetectable vulnerability. It can be detected in death on specialized autopsies. It's not yet detectable in life, but it makes these babies less sensitive to drops in oxygen. So if they're lying with their face against a pillow, most of us from babyhood on will react. We get a surge, a kind of an adrenaline rush. It's called a catecholamine surge. We wake up, we move, and a baby can do that from birth on. But a baby who is vulnerable in this way will continue to lie there and rebreathe. We can't detect the baby, but we sure can protect the baby from those conditions. We reduce the risk by removing those conditions. And by golly, not only have we protected that vulnerable baby from SIDS, but we've managed to protect every other baby from a different type of risk, suffocation. Because a baby lying belly down with a heavy blanket on top may be able to recognize, but they may not move.
And that's not SIDS.
No, that's suffocation.
I got it.
So
we have to wrap up. I apologize. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Baby on the back. Bring the baby into bed to play with the breastfeed, but put that baby right by your bed in his separate sleep surface after.
Got it.
No bed bedding, no smoking. Love your baby, enjoy your baby. This is a low-risk condition, but we can do more to make it even lower.
Thank you so much for being
My
here.
pleasure.
I really
Thank
appreciate
you.
it. Dr. Barbara Ostfeld, Program Director of the SIDS Center of New Jersey and Professor at the Department of Pediatrics at Rutgers Robert Wood Johnson Medical Center. When we come back, a new administration in Trenton brings new hope in the fight against poverty.